Penn State handling business over Boise State, 31-14. We'll talk about both sides of this right now, but I'll tell you this, man. That version of Penn State, where Drew Aller slicing and dicing, you have the trench monsters up front. You got the combo of the running back room and Katron Allen and Nick Singleton just body bagging people, and you add in a healthy Abdul Carter, which they did not have yesterday for the majority of that game. They can win a national championship. Now, can and will are different things, but they can win a national championship. And as we were getting ready for this show, Cato and I were talking about it in the back room, man, like, would that not be the most 2024 thing of all time? For in a year where we expand the playoff, there's madness across the regular season, talking about Ohio State and Oregon, and talking about, Texas and Georgia and all that, and there's madness around, these 9-3 teams getting left out and all that, and then Penn State gets over the hump. Wouldn't that be the most 2024 thing of all time? And James Franklin earns the label Big Game James. That'd be phenomenal. I'd be here for that 110%. Now, the pushback from what you saw last night, if you're not on board with it, is, well, it was Boise State. Come on now, G5 team. They really just rely only on Ashton Genty. JD, you said it in the breakdown yourself, they're pretty dependent on him to have success. That's true. We'll talk more about Boise State here in a matter of moments, but, it's still good to see. It's still good to see it. Even when it's supposed to happen, if you're a Penn State fan, to win that game in the definitive fashion you did, really running away at the end of that thing, it's still good to see. When I order a steak at a restaurant, I know what's coming. I told the waiter, I'm like, hey, I want the ribeye. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's still nice to see it coming out of the doors. Still nice when I cut it open and I see medium rare on the end. It's still just good to see. It's good to see, and it's a good thing overall when it comes to what they're going to be going forward. Now, the reason why I mentioned Penn State being a national title contending team as of now, based on what we saw from Boise State, if they look like that, the formula they have will get it done. It'll get it done. Now, it may not be what I would call the most name brand formula. You don't have a first-round pick as of right now in Drew Aller at quarterback. You don't have a Heisman Trophy winning skill player. You got Tyler Warren, who's kind of in that category. To me, it's a lot of off-brand stuff. Drew Aller's still really good. Tyler Warren, still really good. Defense is more than good enough to get it done for you. But it doesn't have that same, Ohio State $20 million roster or Oregon going to land on the top guy to the transfer portal to play quarterback for you. It doesn't have that same name brand feel to it. Tell you what, man, you get that red bottle off the shelf. Doesn't say Coke, but it says cola from the Walgreens or wherever. You pour it in the glass at home with the ice. It still tastes the same. It still gets the job done. That's Penn State to me, man. That defense is the foundation that the house is built on, man. Especially if Abdul Carter can get healthy, like I already mentioned, they're going to be an absolute problem. At worst, they will be a backstop for them. They'll kind of keep them in games, I believe, when they match up with some of these teams down the road. At best, it's going to be a head start. The night Dennis Sutton gets after you, puts you behind the chains. Let's say they draw a Notre Dame or a Georgia in the next round. It'll be one of those two, obviously. I don't like either of those guys dealing in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 13. It could be the head start for them. There's no way around that. The running back combo is going to wear people down. Last night, I loved so much the north and south approach from them. They're great side to side. I get that, but I think Penn State told you exactly who they want to be last night. They want to run the football. They want to punch you in the mouth. They want to go north-south. We'll do some outside stuff for sure, but we want to get down the middle and make sure you feel us. I think that style, quite frankly, is going to translate. And the momentum they have right now, I think, with that style is worth noting. Drew Aller, I mentioned it. He's gotten some flack throughout his time at Penn State. So he came in as this super high-profile guy, and last year was last year, and it was kind of underwhelming, and you switch coordinators. Last night, to me, told me he's enough. He's enough to get you there. If he plays at that level, if he plays the level he played at in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon, he can get you there, right? Andy Koltznecki, I don't think he's the problem. He can get you there. Tyler Warren, I mentioned how good he is. He's a guy that probably should have gotten more Heisman love than he did. He can get you there. The question I have is, do you have difference makers on the perimeter that can win consistently enough for you to win the national championship? The next question after that is, how much do you have to do that? Because if Penn State's running the heck out of the football and we're up, call it 21-10 at half, I don't see a reason for us to put the ball in the air and put the ball in harm's way. We're just going to keep doing what we do. So at the end of the day, man, That Penn State team, I think, really put something on tape last night. Showed us what they can be. Showed us their style of ball they want to play. And the Oregon game and the Ohio State game are probably the things you would point to as to why they couldn't get it done. I'll say this. The Oregon game, the Ohio State game, the margins within the Oregon game, I think, are a lot closer than maybe what the final score indicated. The Ohio State game, you say, well, hey, I mean, I said after the game, the reaction to me was like, Ohio State has better players. Will Howard scores. Maybe things are different. Maybe things are also different if Penn State finishes inside the red zone. If Penn State gets in the end zone twice, maybe it's a different ball game altogether in Happy Valley. So there's a lot of hypotheticals we could live in there, but I do think that Penn State, they have the formula. They do. Now, on the Boise State side, man, I left really impressed with them. And that final score is unfortunate because I don't think it indicates how well Boise State actually played. But, like, if we're going to sit here and say we need the 12 best teams in the college football playoff, I think Boise State fits that bill. I really do. And now I've been famous here, too, saying, like, I'm anti-auto bids. No auto bids, just 12 best teams. And some people are quick to say, well, are you saying no G5? I'm not saying that at all. Take away auto bids, Boise State is still in the college football playoff. That's a top 12 team based on the rankings. So all that's to say, man, like, they did, I think, a lot of things that you would hoped that they would do when it comes to that game. Like, you were hoping that Boise State's going to show up and have something to show for themselves if they took away Ashton Jeanty. Now, Ashton Jeanty still muscled his way to over 100 yards, but, like, Maddox Madsen was hooping yesterday. Now, the 3 interceptions, it's like, oh, man, that kind of puts a black eye on the stat line. But, like, Penn State was selling out to stop Jeanty, and, like, Madsen, situationally, was making the right throws. Now, again, the talent gap, I think, is just what ended up being too much. We all saw that at the end of the day. But I don't think Boise State has anything to hang their head about today. Spencer Danielson is an absolute dude. I'd play for him tomorrow. And they're not going anywhere from what I can gather. Like, I felt very impressed by Boise State and was very, very encouraged to see the showing from them when it came to that game. Now, I do want to separately say this. The feeling around college football being March Madness is, or the college football playoff being March Madness, that was another example of that to me. Like, is there a world where Boise State wins that football game? Absolutely. But again, there's no three-point shot. There's no equalizer. Like, it comes down to physicality, it comes down to the trenches, comes down to you being better than that guy up front. And, like, Penn State had more of that. And that's going to be, I think, 90, 95% of the time the case when we watch these college football playoff games with the difference in rosters. So another formatting segment for another time that I'm sure we'll do here in the future, but I just want us to make sure we're on the same page here. Boise State belonged in that playoff game. Blame the system you want to blame, how it worked out long-term for them or how it would work out for them long-term in the national championship picture, but, like, Boise State deserved to be in that playoff game.